Being hype girl over here for Amy.
All right. Hi, Amy. So I'm gonna read Amy's information and then I'm gonna share. So Amy, her talk title today is The Hidden Advantage: How Executive Presence Influences Corporate Speaking Opportunities Before You Ever Say a Word. Amy Janece is a personal brand image strategist dedicated to helping professionals align their appearance with their message and authentic self. Blending image consulting with personal development, she empowers speakers, authors, and entrepreneurs to project confidence and authenticity, specializing in color psychology and personal styling. So I've known Amy for years now. I just hired Amy. So for any men in the audience, don't think that what we're about to hear is just for you. And Amy, I am terrified now to have our next follow up when you're going to yell at me for wearing the gray shirt, going, Jay, like, what do you? So I can't wait to hear your comments on that. But Amy, it's a pleasure having you. And this is something that I think is really underestimated by a lot of people in terms of its importance. So I'm going to turn it over to you. Thanks for being here and wrapping this up.
Thank you, Jay. And Aaron and everyone for having me here. It is an absolute pleasure. And for you guys that are here, and it sounds like many of you have been here the entire time, like kudos to you for investing in yourself and your craft and your future and everyone that you're here to impact. What an intro. Thank you, Jay. Except I don't typically yell at my clients. So there will be none of that. What an intro. She's going to yell at you. Everyone's going to be like, yeah, we don't want it. Okay. So your presence speaks before you do. I recently read a study that said something like 80% of CEOs consider themselves to be conventionally attractive. So that poses the next question. Are CEOs, like, are attractive people more successful, or are confident people more successful? Because someone being conventionally attractive is kind of an opinion, right? So your presence speaks way before you do. Have you heard the stat? Put a one in the chat if you've heard the stat that first impressions are made in the first 3 to 7 seconds. Anybody hear that? I see some head nods. Okay, great. Do you know that over half of that is based on your appearance, particularly what you're wearing, and dare I say the colors you're wearing? Because just like you have this vibe or this energy, colors hold energy as well. So the colors that you wear actually say far more about you than anything that you open your mouth to say. And it's not what you think. There's a lot of old traditional methodologies. Wear red for confidence, wear blue for sales. It's not that simple. First of all, there are like a million different tones, hues, and shades of each color, right? Secondly, not every color you put on your body actually works for you. And we're going to demonstrate that in a little bit. I'm going to get into that. Your presence is combined of a few things. Number one, your appearance, because over 80% of the population is visual. So even though we like to say don't judge a book by its cover, you're being judged the moment you walk in a room. It's for my opinion. My opinion is that it's congruency. When what you wear and how you look matches who you are at the core of your being, not who the world told you to be, not the roles you play, but who you actually are, and how you appear in your message. When all of those things are congruent, it allows people to drop their barriers and lean in. Why? Because there's no subconscious blocks or barriers telling them that they can't trust you, right? So think of have you ever heard somebody find out that somebody's been a con artist, and you hear like a news clip or you hear people talking about them, and they might, and I don't condone that, so that's not why I'm bringing this up. You might hear someone say like, oh, I knew there was something off, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Have you ever heard that? Anybody? Okay. You get this sense, your intuition tells you when you can trust someone or not, right? There's probably been speakers and trainers that walked in front of a room. You had no idea who they were. Their topic has nothing to do with you, but you're just glued, like you're locked in, you're leaned forward, you want to hear everything they say. And if they're selling something, you're buying, even though you might not need it. If you've experienced that, it's that congruency where they are completely in alignment from the inside out, and you feel like you could trust them instantly. You click with them, right? On the other hand, there's probably been people that you might have been really excited to hear their message or see them speak or get that training, and you're fighting to pay attention because everything in you is checked out. You're slumped over, looking at your phone, doodling, like you just don't want to be there. Has anyone ever had that happen either way? Okay, I see some nods. So which speaker or trainer do you want to be? First of all, to get that corporate gig, you have to stand out. Secondly, to stand in front of that room and present and speak, whether you're training or just speaking. And when I say just speaking, I'm not minimizing it. Keynote speaking is huge and important and powerful and changes lives. To get there, your presence has to already speak to the right person. And that it doesn't mean you have to know the right person. It means be in alignment from the inside out. Let who you are match how you appear and match your message. There are some people in the industry that like to do what they call pattern disrupt. So they might look completely disheveled or some other kind of way because that's what works for them. I'm not going to knock that. That's just not my methodology or belief. I like alignment. I'm not into the old school bro marketing mentality. I believe in connection. And the way we do that is by being ourselves, by being vulnerable, by saying, hey, this is who I am. If we don't resonate, that's cool. I'm still going to root from you for that from the other side of the room. And there are still things we can learn from each other, right? So the colors you wear. There's a lot of, we're going back to that old school, wearing blue, wearing red, all of this stuff. What if that color's not aligned with you? And you're following that advice, and now you're standing in front of a room wearing red because someone told you it's charismatic and passionate and it exudes confidence. Except if you're in the wrong red for you, it's actually giving off aggressive. So it's almost like you're screaming at people before you even open your mouth. How receptive do you think your audience is going to be to that? We'll talk about a popular color, and I'm going to demonstrate this before I go into the actual color. I dressed a famous lady. Can I share those images with y'all? I put her in a few different colors, and it's very, very apparent. So what I would like when you see my screen, I would like you to tell me the very first thing that you notice about this woman. Oh, okay, hold on, just kidding. Let me get back to it because my slide decided to go back to the wrong one. All right, okay, here we go. What's the first thing you notice? Her chest, the pink. Okay, what about?
It's Mona Lisa.
It is Mona Lisa. What do you notice now? Okay.
Background.
We're going to do one more. What do you notice now? I love that contour. Overall drop. Okay, so I love the variety of answers I get. I'm going to go back through them and put them side by side and show you what I see. So in this very first one, I noticed the pink first. So I'm going to tell you, you may hear me say this again, especially if you've ever heard me speak or seen me speak again. You are the masterpiece. Your clothes are simply the frame. Your clothes are there to support you, not the other way around. Do you want people to remember your clothes or remember you? There is I forgot which designer it was. There was a famous designer who said, I make my dresses so that you remember the woman wearing it, not the dress. That's how you know it's a well-made dress. Well, I believe that you are the masterpiece. So with Mona Lisa here, this pink overtakes her. I did take an image off the internet. I put a frame around it. I did not doctor anything else. Just give you that disclaimer. So with this, you're going to go home and you're going to remember that fuchsia thing she wore. You're not going to remember her or her message, right? Now in the black frame, to me, it almost looks a little heavier, almost a little depressing. And then in this frame, while someone did say it looks a little drab, it actually supports her, where to me, it's like there's a spotlight on her face and I see her because that frame blends in with the background, right? It supports it, but it doesn't take away from it. You are the one that's being highlighted. Your message that you're sharing at these events is what needs to be highlighted, not your clothes. And if you're not dressed appropriately for the room, okay, I'm going to get back to that thought. I'm going to get back to that thought. Let's finish on the color first, because that's a whole nother tangent. So the fashion industry and corporate in New York and everything else says wear black. It looks great on everyone. It's slimming. It goes with everything, right? The thing is, black looks great on 15% of you. On the rest of you, it's actually like you're wearing an invisible cloak hiding in plain sight. Let's think about who wears black intentionally to fade into the background. Stagehands at concerts and plays and whatnot, high-end wait staff, wedding photographers, burglars. Like, which one of these guys is going to get caught first? And once again, I'm not condoning that, using it just as an example. When you wear a color that does not support you, what you're actually doing is the equivalent of saying, I really want to connect with you. If I were to physically and visually introduce myself like that to you, would you really lean in and pay attention, or would you completely check out? You check out. We don't do that physically, visually, but we do it subconsciously through messaging that we're not even aware of. So similar to the 4 personalities that Marla was talking about, I use the elements to determine someone's color palette. So we work with air, fire, water, and earth. There are 4 color palettes. They're similar to the seasons, but it's a little different because it goes more into who you are. The thing with personality tests, most of them, is that you self-identify, right? Which is awesome because you do know yourself better than anyone else. However, you are inside the jar, so you can't read that label, right? You might be able to see glimpses of it if you can read backwards and all the stuff. But for someone else to be able to come in and identify things that maybe you gloss over or you aren't aware of, it just hits a little different. For example, I lived as what I call a water, for over 3 decades. I was hiding in the background. I was a ghostwriter for 20 years, ran a trucking company with my ex for 12 years. I did a lot of things in the background and was always hiding. When I finally decided to write a novel and publish it in my own name, that's when I met an image consultant and I worked with her, got my colors done, started showing up a little different. Well, first of all, I thought she was wrong because, again, I thought I knew which one I identified with. I told her the colors she told me that I needed to wear were ugly and that I didn't resonate with the personality characteristics and that I would prove her wrong. In hindsight, now that I know what I know, I told her she was right. In less than an hour, I knew she was right. Strangers were treating me different. People who knew me were treating me different. What I hadn't verbalized is that I felt invisible. I could walk into any room and basically go unnoticed. I could blend into almost any room, which is a skill or an advantage in some ways, and also not in other ways. Because if you're blending in, if you're not standing out, if you're not visible, how are they going to hear your message? How are they going to see you to choose you to come and speak to their people? So on the surface level, just for explanation, what I do is the colors you wear and the personal styling. And we actually go a little deeper than that because I hold the mirror for you to see yourself again, for you to get back in touch with those core pieces of you that you've probably pushed down over the years subconsciously because of roles that you played, because of trauma, because of the upbringing or traditions, culture, whatever the case may be. A lot of times like this is an old school one that a lot of people may resonate with. I grew up in a children are to be seen and not heard household. So for someone whose gift is storytelling and being loud and vivacious in the life of the party, they're constantly being told you're too much, you're too loud, you're too this, you're too that. Maybe it was too emotional, maybe it was too bossy, maybe it was too rigid. There's all these things that we're told. Subconsciously, we tend to receive those messages as, oh, if people see that, they're not going to like you, love you, respect you, or want you. So we try to shove those things down. And when you get back in touch with those things, they're typically actually your superpower. And when you reconnect with those things, you can actually show up in the world in a whole different way. We express that because in our society, it's frowned upon to go without clothes, especially when speaking to corporate rooms. You're going to wear clothes anyway. So shouldn't they work for you and not against you? You can literally turn your wardrobe into an asset that works as an intentional foundation for the energy you want to give and receive for the day. We break down your colors according to different energetic sections to help you do that. There are colors for when you want to command the attention of the room. There are colors, and by the way, there's a difference between commanding it and demanding it. Commanding it is what you do with your presence. When you walk in and people automatically hone in on you, like, oh, I wonder what he or she does. Like, I need to meet that person, or I need to hear what they have to say. Versus demanding, when you walk in and loudly announce who you are and what you do, and almost try to make people feel inferior, right? There's a difference. My suggestion to you would be to command the room. You don't have to demand anything when your presence speaks for you. That doesn't mean you have to come off and be this big, bold energy of someone else. It means being you is the exact right move for you. There are some speakers that can hold a room that they're a little more soft and a little more welcoming. And then there are speakers that can hold a room that are like up here and they're very vivacious and they're moving around a lot. It's what's authentic to you. Because if that first one tried to imitate that second one, it's going to come off as fake and phony, and you're going to receive that subconscious message that, oh yeah, there's something off here. This doesn't feel right. And you're going to zone out. You don't want that when you're speaking. You don't want that when you're walking in, or even through email or through phones. Like, I have heard people say, I wear my colors when I speak or when I go to events, but I'll wear black at home because I don't want to be seen. If black is not their color, again, 15% of you, sure, most of you know. What that does, though, is energetically, you still know you're hiding. So your communication on the phone, your communication on Zoom, your communication on email is still going to have that hidden layer to it. When you are in complete alignment all the time, that doesn't mean you have to be on all the time. By the way, there are colors to help you relax, sleep, and for the introverts in the room like Jay, there are colors you can wear to help unpeople after an event, right? To help you come back down when you've peopled too much. So there are colors that can support you for everything. You have to have this tough emotional conversation and you really don't want to amplify the emotion. There are colors you can wear for that. Red is a great color to amplify emotion. Great for passionate nights, date nights, or if you want to get the energy hyped. Great to exude confidence if it's the right red for you. So it's not as simple as saying this color looks great on me or this color looks awful on me. There are specific shades within both, right? Okay, that was another little color tangent. Now I lost my other tangent that I started earlier. Let's talk about confidence for a moment. When you are completely confident in who you are. Now, we all have insecurities. If you took the person you feel is the most gorgeous, amazing person in the world, and they were really raw and honest with you, they would share that they have an insecurity. What I want you to think about is that one, well, let me ask this question first. When you look in the mirror, where do your eyes go first? You don't have to answer publicly if you don't want to. Just more for you to make a mental note of this, right? When you look in the mirror, think about where your eyes go first. Now I want you to think about your biggest physical insecurity. What is the thing physically that you are most insecure about? Typically, it's the same thing. And I'll be completely open and honest. My biggest insecurity is my lower belly. I've had surgeries that cut through stomach muscles and never healed right, gained a little weight. That added some unpleasantriness to that. And I have an extremely long torso, and that is where I hold my weight. So with all of that, when I look in the mirror, the first place my eyes go is my lower belly. Anytime I try on clothes, first place my eyes go is that spot on me. Now, when you look at other people, where do your eyes go first? It's probably that same spot. And it's not to judge them. You might stand in front of the mirror completely tearing yourself apart. But then you'll see somebody else out in the wild, maybe a speaker, maybe maybe a stranger, maybe someone you absolutely respect and adore. And you probably don't think, oh my goodness, like look at her lower belly. Why is she wearing that? It's probably like, oh, her too. Or wow, I really admire her confidence to wear that or do that, or it doesn't bother her. Like that's beautiful. And just looking at the notes a little bit, or the chat, I will get to that. When you realize that 95% of the other people aren't looking at your insecurity because they're in their head looking at what their insecurity is, probably admiring something of yours, you'll relax a little bit. When you learn to truly love your body and be confident in your body, and that doesn't mean you can't strive for a healthier body, but when you're confident in who you are, how you are, and you show up anyway, and you show up with that confidence, number one, it's refreshing. Other people are admiring it. People can receive your message better because they're not hung up on you shifting and trying to hide the thing and doing all the things, right? That sends subconscious messages that you have something to hide. We don't know if it's because you're insecure. We don't know if it's because you're in the wrong colors. We don't know if it's because you're trying to swindle us. We don't know any of those things. We just know there's something off. So when I say we, I mean the audience. I'm not accusing anyone of doing these things because we don't know what we don't know. And if you've been told all your life to wear this color and that color for these events, you didn't know that until now. Now you know. So a few things. When you're doing corporate keynotes, usually the background is going to be some kind of black. If you're on a regular stage, if you're in a corporate room, probably not. You don't want to blend into your background. So wearing black on stage, you'll just look like a floating head anyway, if the background is black. In a room that is like the typical white or beige or gray colors, wearing those lighter colors, you may blend into the background there too. I do not recommend wearing patterns on stage because they can be distracting. Also, you want to be really mindful of your accessories, any jewelry, ties, anything like that. If you're being mic'd up, they can create a lot of noise. You do want to look put together. And typically, I know where I was going earlier was dressing for the room. I don't recommend that you dress for trends. I don't recommend that you dress for a role or title necessarily. What I recommend you dress for is number one, who you are. And number two, what your goal is in this particular scenario. Probably wouldn't wear sweats to present at a corporate event. If a full tie and suit and jacket for a man or dresses and heels for a woman don't feel right, don't wear them. If you're uncomfortable, that's going to show. If you show up in jeans, a button-up shirt, and a blazer, that can give a real solid CEO appearance, especially if the colors really support you and your message. For a woman, again, you can wear jeans and a nice shirt and a blazer with some boots or something like that. It's all in what's comfortable for you, especially if you're going to be standing. You want to support your health and be comfortable. If you're, there's a thing that you want to be dressed one or two levels above the room, because that gives the subconscious like respect, but it's not so far away from the room that it's like, oh, they're on a pedestal, I can never be them. Like you do want to be relatable to the room. So what you wear, you should take into consideration who you are, the colors that best support you, the colors that best support your message and clothing. And then also, again, the room you're in. While I don't recommend wearing something completely outside the box for you that's going to make you uncomfortable, you do want to hold that space in that room and again, command that attention and respect. There was a study done about 10 years ago where they took half of the group and dressed them in sweats, half of them and dressed them in suits. And they went in to negotiate. And the group in sweats negotiated over $600,000. I don't remember the exact amount, but it was over 600,000. The group in suits negotiated 1.2 or 1.3 million. Also, the group in sweats would defer to the group in suits at times. The group in suits knew that they had this air of confidence and respect about them. So they would stand and not back down during their negotiations the way they might have normally because they felt that energy in the room. So they took a little more bold chances and commanded higher negotiations, right? So how does that translate to you? Stop dressing for who you were 3 to 5 years ago. Consider who you are today and where you're going. And really pay attention to, how does this version of me show up? How do they move? What are their habits? What do they wear? How do they look? Right? Because while we like to say don't judge a book by its cover, unfortunately we do. I ride motorcycles. And several years ago, I had negotiated a position with a company via email and phone. And I was meeting the HR director at a Starbucks just to sign papers and get the formality out of the way, right? I had already accepted an offer that was just signing the papers and doing all the formal stuff. And I pulled up on my motorcycle and I put my jacket inside out and walked in with my helmet. And I sat down and she looked at me and I could just tell the look of disgust on her face. And she said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I just got a call. The position's been filled." What do you mean it's been filled? Like, you filled it with me. We had this discussion. So I just said, "Okay, fine. Thank you for your time." And I was a little heartbroken at that moment because I was like, you completely judged me on the fact that I ride a motorcycle. Like, what does that have to do with anything? That doesn't have anything to do with my skills for this position. It was another reminder for me that entrepreneurship was a better fit for me. But the point is, people will judge you. People will judge you on very surface level things the minute they see you. And it takes, I believe it's 8 positive interactions to overcome a bad first impression. First impressions matter. So make sure that your speaker assets reflect who you are, because that's a part of your presence before you even walk through the door, right? The person that's making those hiring decisions. Have a professional recent headshot. I am not a fan of AI headshots because there is something about them that you can tell isn't quote unquote real. And in this world of AI, while AI does a lot, this is not AI discussion. AI is incredible for a lot of things. We are still seeking that connection, that human connection. So there are certain things that take away from a human connection, right? Have your headshots done probably every 6 months to a year. It should reflect who you are. I've seen so many people, speakers even, where the headshot looks like this and you get there and I don't know who that person is. And they get on stage and after they get introduced and start talking, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. But that picture's in my mind and there's this big disconnect. Disconnects create distrust. So make sure your speaker materials reflect who you are currently, where your expertise is. You can talk about all the accolades and all the things if it makes sense to your messaging, but have all of those things up to date. Wear colors that in your headshots that are, they don't have to be super bold and bright and stand out in a way that draws attention away from you, but allow them to set you apart. Wear colors that maybe they don't normally see, or maybe it's a little bit slightly of a different shade where you look professional and you're you. Right? Because your personality and your specific set of gifts, experiences, and outlooks is what actually draws people to you. Does that make sense? Okay, good. So then when you get in the room after you've been hired, again, when you walk in the room, you want that immediate connection, with most people. There are also colors you can wear to help with that. So for networking or things like that. I tend to wear a combination of a couple of different colors to do a couple of things. To be totally transparent, today I am wearing one of my dynamics. What that means is it's one of my closing colors. It's one of my, when I walk in the room, people notice me colors, right? I'm also wearing what I call a flesh tone. That opens my heart for connection because I want you to right away see me and connect with me. And if we don't resonate, that's okay. You know, you could still trust what I'm saying, even if we don't resonate. And then I also have some of my metallic woven in, which is grounding and another like personal power piece. So I intentionally get dressed for calls, for presentations, for whatever I'm doing, first dates. I intentionally get dressed for all of these things with colors that set the mood and help me speak with my presence before I open my mouth. Because as soon as you see someone, you've already determined if you're interested in hearing what they have to say or not. Then they get to prove that you were right and sometimes wrong, right? But again, your presence is something it's something you can't fake, and it's something that no one can take away from you. As a speaker, as a trainer, as a leader, you are your biggest billboard. It is literally free advertisement 100% of the day. Well, I mean, when you're sleeping, hopefully there are not people looking at you, but your presence online still says something. I'm not meaning to trigger anyone. I see the comment, need to take down my website, AI brushed up younger headshot. It's information, right? If that's all you have for now, sure, but be intentional about getting it done. And if you're booking an appointment or you're waiting on whatever to line up so you can get them professionally done with a professional photographer, have someone help you. Like, our cell phones have such great cameras at this point in time. While it's not a professional headshot, it's better than an AI headshot, in my opinion, in the meantime. And there are really easy editing tools that you can run it through to touch it up a little bit if it needs it. I actually had a couple of selfies that I used in the beginning because they looked like professional headshots, and I had a photographer friend just edit it really quickly, and nobody knew. Most of the time, people can tell if it's a selfie or not because of positioning and stuff. So if you do that, be very careful with that, because if it's obviously a selfie, that's not professional either. But if you're here, so I'm going to assume that you are looking to speak and train in corporate settings. And if that's the case, it's worth investing in the package that gets you in the door, right? I've heard a lot of people say like, oh yeah, I'll get my colors done later, or I'll get this done later. And if we don't resonate, we don't have to work together. I do suggest you learn what looks best on you because it is powerful. It will help you open doors you didn't even know were there, because your name will start coming up in circles. Because again, when that congruency is there between your message, who you are, and how you appear, people lean in. It takes away those subconscious barriers. So get your assets together, invest in that. That is literally an investment in you and your future and where you're going. Because again, think about your closet. First of all, how much of your closet do you actually wear? Just a percentage. Anyone want to share? You don't have to, but if you're willing, 10%, well, we're going to be working on that. Don't worry. The average North American only wears 80%, or excuse me, 20% of what's in their closet. That means every time you get dressed, there's a lot going on behind the scenes. Decision fatigue, low energy. You're probably looking at things with tags on it that you've never worn, or things that you haven't worn in 10 years. And so that's energetically draining every time you go to get dressed. How often do you get dressed? Probably once a day, maybe twice a day, depending on what you've got going on. So who wants all that? When your clothes all reflect who you are and who you're becoming, and they're all in your color palette, you don't need as many clothes because everything goes together. And you'll wear an average of 80% of your clothes on a regular basis instead of 20, right? 10 and 25 and low percentage. Yeah. Joyce, purple and white are your best colors. I love that you know that. And how many shades of purple are there? And is that because you feel those are your best colors, because they're your favorite colors? I have had people say, well, this is my favorite color and I'm wearing it anyway. And then after they end up working with me, they don't wear it. They'll incorporate it in other ways. If they learn it's not in their palette, if it is, then they get to keep wearing it. And I don't dictate that. I give you the information, you do what you want with it. I highly encourage you to, because if you know what actually supports you and you're intentionally wearing something else, what I will ask you is, why are you hiding? Who benefits from you hiding? You don't. The people who need your message don't. The people that you love that are looking to you for guidance, like your children, your nieces, your sisters, your mothers, whoever, they don't benefit from you hiding. Part of what made me make this step in publishing my own novel and getting these things done was because I noticed that my now adult sons were holding themselves back from greatness. They were on the high school wrestling team. They would always come in third place. They would pull back before they beat the kid. Sometimes they were second place because they beat somebody and got into that round, but they would hardly ever get first place because they would hold themselves back. And I was watching and I was like, why are they doing that? Like, it was infuriating as a mom, right? You don't want to watch the people you love hold themselves back from greatness. My older son's first year, he was really talented in that. And his first year, every time he was about to be bumped to varsity, he started losing. I was like, what is wrong with you? Like, I don't understand. It's because they were afraid to be seen. That's something we teach unintentionally, but we teach it. I'm going to go on a small little tangent because this is something that's applicable in so many ways. Have you taught little ones or watched little ones who have all these beautiful affirmations? I am beautiful. I am intelligent. I am kind. I am all of those lovely affirmations. I have a little girl I'm very close to. I call her my surrogate grandbaby. She's 4. And she has all these affirmations, and she'll look in the mirror and smile at her beautiful little face and say all these lovely things, and then turn around and watch her mom look in the mirror, turn side to side, start grabbing chunks of flesh like, oh, I need to get back in the gym, or, oh, I think I'm losing weight, and basically tear herself apart. And it clicked when I saw that one day, how we have such uh, body dysmorphia and body image issues. There's so many filters and, this and that being shoved down our throats. And I'm not going to preach on that, so to speak. But what I will say is, which of those behaviors do you think that little girl is going to continue to exhibit, especially as she enters her preteens and teens and her body starts changing? She's going to look in the mirror and tear herself apart, just like her mother modeled. I did. I can tell you so many people that have done the same thing. We learn to tear ourselves apart. So how about if we set a goal to unlearn that and teach others around us to treat themselves kindly as well? Because when you are confident, and confidence isn't something you can teach or buy, in my opinion. Confidence comes from doing the thing, from action, from practice. You can practice looking in the mirror, being kind to yourself every day, and I highly suggest it. I highly suggest you look at yourself in the mirror every morning and every night and give yourself 3 compliments. They could be the same thing if you need to at first. Do it for at least 30 days and watch what happens. When you treat yourself better and you show up with confidence and you are secure in your presence and everything is in alignment, your light is on high and you give permission for the next person to do the same. And when you shine your light and you give permission to the people around you to do the same, and then they do, and then they do, guess what? We're all living in our gifts and it becomes a much better place to be. So your presence is what speaks before you do. That is your hidden advantage, because all the superpowers within you are unlocked when you allow your presence to be felt and seen. If you don't, you can have the most brilliant thing in the world to say, but who's going to receive it if you're doing this? Does that make sense? Awesome. Okay. Now that I've told you black is probably not a great color for you to wear, everybody's probably going, well, what am I supposed to wear then? If you're in a position of like, I'm so confused, I don't know what to do, I'm going to give you a couple of colors that look great on everyone. So if you haven't had your colors done, you don't know what to wear, this is a good place to start, especially so that you don't have to wait to dive in and start applying for, getting, and showing up to these corporate speaking and training gigs, right? Wine, almost burgundy, but that like deep red wine color. It doesn't look red, but it's red wine, whatever. That is one color that looks great on everyone. Actually, I usually don't do this. I'm going to give you guys all 4. There's 4 that look great on everyone. Hold on though. Before I do that, do you guys want to see a couple of real life examples of people I worked with and like the before and after, just to see what a difference changing a shirt can make? I have 2 examples of people, like same lighting. One was in a Kohl's vacuum department. So I'll share Mark first. And the reason I'm sharing this is just to see what a difference. The shirt on the left is the one that he showed up with. And he was like, I like the shirt. I get a lot of attention in the shirt. Yeah, everyone remembers the shirt. Nobody sees you. The one on the left is in his colors. He looks like he lost 30 pounds in 3 seconds. You see his eyes, which he has gorgeous eyes. He looks more approachable. He looks healthier. He looks more confident. And literally all we did was change his shirt. You could see the vacuum is behind him. It was in Kohl's. Another one was Rob. These again were taken. He just changed his shirt. Same lighting, same everything. Do you see how in the black, his skin looks like grayish? He doesn't look healthy. On the left one, even though that's a bright colored shirt, it actually does not outshine him. I'm drawn to his eyes. He looks like warm and fun, right? Okay, those were just on the way to the last slide. So I figured I would go ahead and give you guys that right there. Oh, by the way, people who work with an image consultant on average earn 30% more than their counterparts. So you can be earning more by literally just having your presence speak before you do, right? Part of it is confidence. And part of it is, again, that congruency and alignment. Okay. So the colors that look great on everyone, keep in mind the shades may look a little off because monitors, pictures, all of the things. Also, the human eye only retains a specific shade of color for 7 seconds. So I have a way to make sure we're always in the right colors, but wine, teal, true teal, not too blue, not too green, eggplant, that deep dark purple, and forest green. Those are the colors that look great on everyone. So those are great colors for team shirts, branding shirts, things when you're going to be wearing your colors if you don't know your colors. Group photos, even family photos, those are good colors because everyone looks their best in them. And do I have time to share why this is so important to me, or are we at my time? Okay.
You're good.
Thank you. Just want to honor that. Okay. Why am I so passionate about this? I didn't even realize, I didn't set out to do this, right? I saw the change it made in my life. In less than 6 months after I started wearing my colors, my income more than doubled. My relationship strengthened. I was getting more opportunities. Strangers were treating me better. Like people actually saw me. My brother told me, "You're more you than I've seen you in 30 years. What changed?" I was like, my shirt. But really it was that I gave myself permission to just be me. All those pieces of me that I pushed down and hid away, gave myself permission to be me. And let me tell you, when you're no longer fighting to be someone that you think you're supposed to be, life gets easier. Everything gets easier. That's not why this is so important to me, though. That was the beginning of how I ended up doing this. I resisted doing this for over 2 years before I finally said yes. And when I first presented this, not even to get into it as a business, I did the training so that I could type my family and friends and stop paying someone else to do it. Then I decided, let me take on a couple of clients to reimburse myself for the training because I kept being told, you have an eye for this. You need to let me train you. So when I announced this, I had 4 women come up to me and tell me my words changed their life. That's when it clicked. This is the way that I spread this message to the world, to you, to be you. We need you. We don't need who you think you're supposed to be. We need you because you and your message matter. Now, why this is so important to me is that I truly do believe there's a difference between being looked at and being seen. When I was 6 years old, I had gotten my new Easter dress and we were going to visit my grandmother, and I knew she hadn't been feeling well. So in my 6-year-old brain, I was like, you know what? Let me dress up for grandma because she likes it whenever I look really pretty and that'll make her feel better. So I dressed up to go see grandma. We get there. I run into the house before anybody else can even get out of the car. And when I run in, she's in the middle of the living room in her wheelchair. Her hospital bed is over, tucked up in the corner. And I run up to her and I twirl around. My dress flares out a little bit. And I go, Grandma, look, I wore my new dress for you. Don't I look pretty? And Grandma looked at me and said, who are you? In that moment, I felt beyond invisible. If my own grandma doesn't know who I am or recognize me or care enough to remember who I am, why would anyone in this world care? That's one of my first core memories, is that I didn't matter, that I was invisible. Now, to close this loop, grown-up Amy realizes grandma had brain cancer. 6-year-old Amy didn't know that, right? I interpret it as she didn't see me. That was the last time I saw her alive. So that was the memory that stuck, and I didn't even put that together until one of my coaches helped bring that out a couple years ago. This is so important to me because I don't want anyone to ever feel invisible or looked at and not seen. When you don't feel seen, you don't fully embody who you were here to be. And there is only one person in this entire world that will be with you from your first breath to your last. And there's only one person in this world that has the exact set of gifts, experiences, and perspectives as you. So the world needs you to show up fully, be yourself completely, so that you can make the impact you're here to make. Thank you.
Amy, can we show some love in the chat for Amy, please? Wow. You got me on that last story. I haven't heard you share that before, so
Me
thank you
neither. I was like, that you need to have that in your talk. Close to the beginning, you're gonna build that in, because then
that's
everybody can be
exactly
seen.
my thought. I would, as your speech coach, I would move that to the beginning. Amy, so of course I want the make more money shirt, but what
Yes,
I really want is the lose 30 pound shirt. How quickly can I get that?
immediately.
Okay.
So I've actually had, okay, because you know the players in this, you might appreciate this. I was at an event in Phoenix and Iman was at the event. And Justin James, who does a lot of the AV tech, he's actually my event producer. He came to the event hotel to have dinner with me, and him and Iman crossed paths. And Iman looked at him and went, wow, you look like you've dropped at least 30 pounds. And Justin laughed and was like, actually, I gained weight. I just put on the color she told me to wear. So it can be immediate. I don't promise. I don't promise. And you just look better when you're in your colors. So yeah, any of your colors will do. So we'll definitely be working on that.
Awesome. All right. Does anybody have questions for Amy? Thank you for that brilliant presentation. I am guilty, right? Like I never paid attention to this kind of thing, and it took a while for you to open my eyes, but I'm convinced. I've seen I know many of the people that Amy has worked with, and I've seen their testimonials. It's pretty incredible when you start lining all those up. So, and thank you, Aaron, for putting Amy's gift in the chat. Amy, tell us about this gift. What are you giving us here?
Oh, okay. Actually, that link goes to a different gift. So can I put in the other link and they can have both gifts?
can.
You
Is
can
that-
put in whatever you want.
Okay.
If you're going to help me lose 30 pounds, any link is fine.
That's awesome. Okay. So the 7 shocking wardrobe errors that cost speakers credibility. That is, I touched on a couple of those things, but it's a lot of things that we do with our wardrobe or accessories that we don't think about. And you don't know what you don't know. So I show you what it is, and then I show you what not to do. So, for example, if you're in person, I'll share this one because it's a fun story. Before I even knew what a TEDx was, I volunteered to work with someone who was producing one and ended up becoming a lot of roles during that event, including the person who mic'd up the speakers. And one of our speakers was a woman in a beautiful dress. It was form-fitting. It had no zipper in the back, and there was nowhere to place the lavalier mic, the mic pack. So the bra strap is the most obvious place for most women, but since her dress didn't have a zipper, she had to actually remove her dress for me to mic her up. She also wasn't wearing underwear. So as we're behind the stage, behind the curtain, and she's standing there in nothing but a bra, and I'm doing the mic pack. One of the guys who was like the stage builder people came around the corner and was like, and it was like a young kid, and the rest of the event, anytime he saw her or me, he turned bright red. I think it was more traumatizing for him than anyone, but I use that as a rule of thumb when you're planning your outfits and you don't know if you're going to have a handheld mic or a lavalier mic. And this is in there, but the story isn't. You want to take into account where are they going to put a microphone, because it's kind of important. So it's things like that that you don't think about until there's a reason to think about them.
Yeah. Why don't you make sure you get the right link in there? I'll tell you, I had a mic pack put in the top of, I had a full Spanx on, so I had a top in the top. And then during my speech, all of a sudden it's going all the way down to my butt crack. And I'm like, oh no. And I'm sweating and I'm just like, all right, we're going to take a short break right here. And I had to go behind the screen and somebody fix it. I'll never forget that. Those are the things you have when you're a speaker, I swear.
And I'm just making a mental note when I work with Amy, mental note, wear underwear.
For men, it's a little bit easier because usually you guys are 99% of the time in pants. So you can just clip it onto the belt or the back of the pants. But yeah, if you're not wearing underwear, your butt crack might be seen. It is a thing. It happens.
All
Oh,
right. We're getting punchy here at the end of the day.
I know,
All right.
right?
Amy, any other questions for Amy before we let her go? Let me see if anybody, I get back to the beginning here. Anything for Amy? Amy, thanks so much for coming in. I look forward to our session together, and thanks for coming in and sharing your expertise.
My
I had
pleasure.
one. It was great.
Aaron's a fire.
Oh, Marla
Which-
has a question. Go ahead, Marla.
Yeah, I'm curious. So, I've worked with a lot of coaches over the years, and one of them, who's a branding expert and an event planner and who I respect a lot, he insists that all his speakers wear black. And I don't think I look good in black. I usually wear red, actually, for people that know me. Sometimes I wear white or pink, but mostly red. But just say a little bit more about, I mean, I actually think men look really good in black. And I think that it does give you a sort of a sense of professionalism when you wear black. But then I always sneak a little red underneath it or something.
So I did notice, Marla, that you were in white today because every other time I've seen you, you've been in red. I do see people request certain colors because for the photos or whatever, when everyone's in the same color, it can look really cool. I did a keynote in London last November where the event organizer required all of the women to wear white, which please don't do that for several reasons. One, it messes with the white balance. Two, white can make you look larger, especially on camera. Three, there's so many different shades of white, it still doesn't have the right effect, but that's a side note. She showed up in all black. Now, I don't recommend doing that because even in the all black, while it can give that appearance, again, you're actually not doing any favors for most of those people. For 15% of them, they're going to look great. For the rest, they're going to be hiding. For some people, black makes them look sick. I was at an event where the speaker had on a black hoodie. He had been wearing his yellow blazer all throughout the entire event. Right before he spoke, he put on a black hoodie, and he did it because it was part of his skit in his talk, which was amazing. And he told me later on when I explained the thing about black, he said, that makes sense. He said, I had 3 different people come and ask me if I was feeling okay within 15 minutes of getting on stage because I put on that black hoodie. So my opinion is that I highly disagree. Especially if you notice a lot of black people that wear black will start looking like floating heads. It doesn't actually support most of us. And there's an alternative to black for everyone. So for waters, earths, and airs, they can wear navy blue instead, like a really dark navy. Waters and earths can wear a really dark charcoal. Fires and airs can wear dark chocolate brown. Or forest green or eggplant is that deep dark purple. There are colors you can wear that are really dark and give that same level of sophistication or elegance look without diminishing you. So I don't agree with his opinion, and that's okay. We're all entitled to our own opinion.
Yeah, I like your opinion.
Well, and it's
Thank
perfect
you.
because I will tell you when I work with people on their TEDx, I ask the first question I make speakers ask is, what is your background? What is going on behind scenes? If you're getting, especially because you want really high quality video, but also if you go to the TED.com platform, you see all the little squares of all the talks that have been out there, and you're like, which one attracts my attention? Somebody that has a bright color. Somebody that, looks like, that it pops enough on the image to go, ooh, and it just draws your eye there so you want to read what their topic is. But if you're wearing black and it's black, you are talking head and hands, it's going to look terrible on your video and you're going to hate it. And so it's really important to always ask. Some people think, oh, well, because TEDx is red and it's red carpet, I should wear the red. And it's like, no, because then you just blend in everything, right? So, like, this is an important thing anytime you get a speaking gig. Ask if it's going to be, especially if it's going to be videoed, and if you want it too, but you ask, what is the background colors? What, so I know what not to wear because you don't want to end up looking like that. So I love this stuff.
That's actually in the guide that I dropped the link to, is that exact thing. Ask ahead of time if possible. And if not, I recommend you bring 2 outfits, one dark, one light, so that no matter what, because some people also have a lot of really bright, bold, clashing colors. So if you're in another bright color, it's not going to look good either. So if you have 2 options, you're ready for anything and everything. And one of my favorite rappers says, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. So stay ready.
I love that.
Awesome. Amy, thanks so much for coming in today. Appreciate you and your genius. Make sure to grab Amy's gift in the chat. And thanks, Amy. I'll see you soon.
And I did fix it on the program too. We made sure I was seeing Amy going in there fixing it at the same time I was. But so it does work in the dashboard. So don't worry about that. Anything that people were giving out, even Catherine, when hers wasn't in there, I grabbed it and I put it up there. So her VIP sessions in there. So you can have that as well. So I just wanted to make sure y'all had all the links and anything that was been shared. I'm making sure it goes into the uh, platform, into Event Raptor, so you'll have it on your vision page. So that's really great.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, Amy. All right, gang, we are at the end of day 2. And before you go anywhere, I want to tell you what's happening tomorrow. Tomorrow, we start out with Stephen Rowell, who's going to explain his champions and train the trainer models. You do not want to miss that. Then we have other amazing speakers, Jessica Lorimore, Danella Burnett, Tim Taylor, and Mitch Axelrod. And tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, Aaron and Stephen and I are going to do a panel open Q&A session. So any questions about anything that you've heard discussed over the event, any questions at all you want to ask about speaking, becoming the corporate badass that you're all meant to be, join us for that panel tomorrow. It'll be fun and it'll be a free-for-all. So make sure to join us then. So Aaron, Stephen, any parting thoughts? An amazing day today.
Go ahead, Steven.
I'm just absolutely so impressed by everybody that was here speaking. So just so grateful for them. And I'm really excited about the about the participation. Everybody's been so engaged. It's been great. So thank you all very much for that.
Yeah. It's been great in here. So it's been a lot of fun. And it does help us make the time go by faster. It makes I know that somebody said that last night was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe 7 hours is over already. Like, how did we get through that so fast?" So those are really great things to have. And I'm excited tomorrow to answer. So if you guys have questions that you want answered in the morning, I'm going to ask it again, or we can have Stephen ask, and we'll make sure that any questions you want to ask the three of us, if you have it written down, put it in the chat. We are going to take all the, especially first and foremost, the VIP questions first. So if you're not VIP, please upgrade. Don't have to explain all the great gifts again, because you know it. You already know it, and it just keeps getting better and better. But then we'll also take some of your questions live if you have questions, especially based on what, all the things that have been moving in emotion. But we really want to be able to share with you the tactical strategies and the things that you really need. I think we'll cover some more cold outreach. How do you outreach? How do you get to these corporations? That's something you're looking for. I will be able to have that for you. I'll have some of those questions. And I started to actually create another gift that can be put into the VIP, which will be how to prospect and who in corporations are buying. What are the titles? What are the names? Who do you reach out to? Those kinds of things. So that'll be a VIP gift that I will finish tonight so that you will have it tomorrow. And for those who are VIP that didn't get their stuff, remember you upgrade now. And in about 15 minutes, I'm going to send the email to all of the VIPs to give you your different event dashboard that has all those free gifts and then all of the access to the things. And last thing is, let me see if Nico got back to me yet. He'll probably get back to me in the middle of the night because he's in the Philippines. He is not, but I'm asking him to do that 1 hour master class for what kind of things we need in our speaker reels. What do you have to think about? What kind of assets do you want to be featured in there and why? And how it can unlock the psychological triggers for the people in the audience to buy, to get them warmed up, to build that rapport with you before you speak, just like Amy said, because that is the first thing. And if you have a video that plays before you take that stage, it just levels you up. So I'll be excited. I think he's going to say yes because, it's not hard to twist somebody's arm when when we're doing this. And that has to go with trust again, like we've talked about all day. So thank you guys so much for trusting us with your time and participation and showing up full out. This has been great. We're having a great time. And I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. You don't want to miss Steven's session in the morning. I'm telling you, it was a game changer in my books.
Good night, everybody. Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening. We'll see you all tomorrow, bright and early. Look forward to seeing you then.